Welcome to the Forward Marketing Podcast, the podcast that covers internet marketing strategies and leadership tactics to move your business forward. With your host, Joshua Jarvis.
Welcome back to the Forward Marketing Podcast. This is number 4, RD Marketing. And forward, if 4RD is pronounced forward, like moving forward, like moving your business forward. So thanks so much for listening. You can always check out our show notes and more about our podcast at the forwardmarketing.com/podcast page. And you can see all of our 30 plus episodes since last year. This is a weekly podcast, so thanks so much for listening. Today's episode is the 4 things Netflix can teach you about your business. And you're going to want to really listen to this because we can always learn, you can always learn from the best. And Netflix is certainly one of the best. So if you've been following along with the podcast, last week we covered the metrics that you need in your business. And it was maybe a conversation. I don't know that it was one of my best podcasts because it's just tough. I mean, to do the numbers for a business is tough, especially if you are one of those sort of creative or driver type people who don't want to sit down and do numbers. But it is what every business owner needs to do, is know their numbers. Previous to that, we covered... what did we cover? We covered the keys to lead conversion because, ultimately, we've been talking about sort of doing digital marketing. And in your business, if you do digital marketing, you're going to generate internet leads. And so I wanted to make sure that I had an episode that I could refer to business owners. So if this is your first time listening, then you may want to check that out because all of the techniques in this podcast up until this point have all been about sort of internet lead generation. And if you want to, create a funnel or you want to do anything that generates leads online, generates opportunities online, then you're also going to want to know how to convert those. And so you're going to really want to listen to that episode. But today I've got a special episode for you of the 4 things Netflix can teach your business. And the very first one is personalization. So they have personalized content. I don't know if you've ever gone on to Netflix on someone else's account, but it's completely different. Every user has a completely different experience with their interface, and it's pretty amazing that is really what one of the things that makes them successful. I don't know if you've ever been on Amazon Prime, for instance, but it has no idea what I watched last. It doesn't have any clue what's going on. It doesn't make suggestions of things that based on anything that I like. And completely different experience. Now, some of them do this, but I think that Netflix, being the leader it is, does it probably the best because more often than not, we're finding episodes. Our family is finding shows to watch based on Netflix recommendations over having to go and search for them or listen to a friend suggest them. So what does it have to do with your business? Well, personalized content is important. That's what's causing us to pay attention. When Netflix sends me an email, I no longer hit spam or delete. I kind of check it out. What's the new episode that they're actually pitching to me because I know that they at least know something about my watching habits and the things that I'm doing. So you can do that in the same thing in your business. In fact, one of the episodes we previously recorded was about pay-per-click. And so one of the successful things you can do when you're running a pay-per-click campaign is to have a targeted landing page. And what that means is having a landing page that speaks to the audience that you're targeting. Personalization. So you should think about this in your own sort of web strategy, your online strategy, is that you have a group of customers and then you have a segment of that customer base. That's who you should be talking to, and you should really, as they say, niche it down, get it down to the smallest detail that you can and still be effective. And we've actually covered several episodes that would sort of speak to that, where you can you can mix and match. You could try to find, people who love, your target customers who love, say, Game of Thrones, and you could do ads that way and then have a landing page that somewhat does something like that. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it. The simplified version of this is literally, like I said, target landing pages that target the audience that you want, and then also email messaging that. So for my real estate clients, if you have a lead that's coming in that's a home seller and they're thinking about selling their home, you don't want to communicate to them with the buying side. You want to communicate with them with the selling side. So this isn't too advanced, but it is something that I see a lot of businesses sort of doing this one-size-fits-all marketing, and that is you're really doing a disservice to your business, because you could just, with a little tweak here and there, personalize that your offering. So number 2, going multi-channel. So I don't know about you, but Netflix has, over the years, they've kind of been in my mind space, out of it, and now they're really, really heavy in my mind space right now. And it's not because I like Netflix. In fact, I don't really like them all that much. I mean, I'm not, I guess there's nothing really against them. I mean, they're not like enemies or anything like that. But I don't have any special affinity to Netflix. There's not a story of the creator that makes me want to like them. I mean, they're like VidAngel. I love the story there. I love that company. But Netflix, I don't. Hulu, I don't. So there's no affinity to that. But why they take up my mind space is because they're pretty much everywhere I go. Now, this isn't a remarketing conversation. I didn't just get a pixel on my computer and now they're following me around. No, they're actually in every space that I'm starting to see their ads on their video ads on Instagram. I'm seeing their video ads on Twitter. I'm seeing them obviously in my email, on Facebook. I see them trending when there's a new show. And so they're going multi-channel. And that's exactly what you need to do with your business, is that if you don't have a sort of social media plan, then you need to get one. And you need to be on more than one channel because your customers are typically on more than one channel. Yes, let's say you're B2B. Maybe your best source of clients might be from LinkedIn. But if you're only on LinkedIn, then you're going to miss it, because they're probably also on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or something else, and you're going to really want to make sure that you're all over the place there. Not all over the place confusion-wise, but all over the place with being multi-channel. So an easy way to do this might be to write a blog post. Maybe you answer a question. In fact, that's probably the most effective thing to do, is you answer a common question, maybe via video, and then you write a blog post about the video. You put that up on your website, and then you just share it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's a really low-level way, low-skill way, like low-impact way to be on multi-channel if you have a website. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You need to be on multiple places. You need to personalize the content for your audience that you're actually targeting, and the more targeted you get, the better it is. So all of this, one of the things I'm trying to do with each step is simplify. And so step number 3 is actually be simple. I don't know if you've noticed or not. If you are a heavy Netflix user, you might have noticed this, but they haven't really changed their interface a whole lot in the last few years. And it's pretty simple. I log on, I see the things I want to see, and then I go watch it. And if I need to find something, there's a search button, or they've got a bunch of suggestions. That's probably the only negative I find, is that browsing, typically when we run out of shows to watch, if there's not anything new, trying to browse for something is just really a pain, because you're flipping through these things, and you could spend an hour just kind of going through stuff that you may or may not want to watch, but it's really simple. And even their letter, even their sort of their mission when they wrote to their corporate, the corporate docs, the things that the investor relations doc. I'm losing my mind over here because my words are not me no have words. But so basically, there's a document that companies put out to their investors, and it had this thing called its mission, and it wasn't really like a mission statement in a sense, because it was written to the investors. But basically, it was something like, we're here to soothe or simplify, people's entertainment needs, or something like that. And it was just really, really simple. I should have wrote it down so I could actually tell you what it is. But that's something that you need to do. So when I was listening to, I had mentioned this in a previous podcast, but it's worth mentioning again. I think it was on LinkedIn. I saw a video clip of Kevin O'Leary, the guy from Shark Tank, where he's like, you're dead to me, or you're a cockroach, or whatever. So he's the Simon Cowell of Shark Tank. So anyway, he was saying, what are the 3 things to succeed in business? And he was like, hey, it's passion. And I was like, yeah, passion. And then he said, you need to be able to speak about your business in 90 seconds. So that elevator pitch. Can you explain your business in 90 seconds to someone? And then the third one was know your numbers. And that's why we actually did last week's episode of the metrics that every business owner needs to pay attention to, was because of that clip. I was like, yes, that's absolutely right. If you can't talk about the numbers in your business, then you're pretty much, I'm not going to invest in you, and no one would. So go back to that one step though. Can you talk about your business in 90 seconds? I think a lot of service people, sort of fail in this area because typically they can talk about their business in 90 seconds, but they typically shoot really wide. They'll say things like, I sell real estate, or I'm a financial planner, or I sell insurance. And, when you say I want to help everyone, you're saying I want to help no one, because then it's just too wide. I can't think specifically to help you. You could say, who do you know wants to buy or sell a house? I don't mean, unless I'm talking to someone right now who's buying or selling, then I don't know anyone. And if I think about someone who's actually buying or selling, then they probably already have an agent, right? So you got to think a little bit more specifically about what you want in these little 90-second things. But the point of the matter is that you want to simplify your business to a point to where it's digestible. A really, really good resource on this is called Start With Why, Simon Sinek. If you haven't read that book by now, I don't know where you've been living, or maybe you're not a reader, but get it on Audible, whatever. Watch his TED Talk about it. It's been watched like 100 gazillion times. And it is really good because what it does is it helps you kind of think, why am I doing what I'm doing, and be able to communicate that to others. So when someone says something about, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I love helping businesses grow. That's why Forward Marketing, right? So that's why the name of the company is Forward, right? So Forward was taken, and plus it's kind of boring. So we came up with 4RD. I know it's a little weird just for some of you, but the idea is this: is 4RD is actually forward, pronounced forward when you see it all together. It's for moving your business forward. I believe that businesses can change the world, and I want to make it my mission to help you grow your business so that you can do that. That's literally my sales pitch, or my 90-second little commercial. That doesn't ask for anything. It just tells my why. And then I still have time to ask for what kind of businesses I'm looking for, what kind of things I'm doing. So simplify your message to the point where you could actually sell it. And another great resource in this is your local networking groups. PowerCore, BNI, Chamber of Commerce, and BNI stands for Business Networking International. You can Google it. Toastmasters is another good one to work on simplifying your message to a point to where you could talk about it very easily. The reason why you want to simplify that message is once you have the message, once you know your mission, then everything that you do, and you can't see me, but I am moving my arms because I'm really excited about this, is that everything that you do goes through this lens, right? And it can change the wording on your website. It can change the look of the things that you do. It can change the way that you handle your customer service. Everything changes. So that's step 3. And simplify your message. And so again, everything gets seen through that lens of simplicity. So Netflix teaches us to personalize the message, make sure the message is on different channels, and simplify. What does it sound like they're doing? Before I go into step 4, what does it sound like they're doing? Well, this isn't a phone call, so you can't talk back. And I need to remind myself of that. The reality of it is that what they are doing is actually just serving the customer, right? What does your customer want? They want to be able to understand what you do, right? They want the simpler the message is, the easier it is for them. Like, they don't have to use any brain power for it. And the more brain power you make someone use to make a decision on whether or not to use your company for something, you're going to fail. So, I love Donald Miller's podcast, Story Brand. And if you listen to it, he always says, if you confuse, you lose. And that is why Netflix is winning, because they have a very simple message. So number 4 is email marketing. Now, one of those things is so these 3 things are kind of good business principles. But number 4 is sort of what we've talked about before. So you can go back and look at some of our other episodes. We actually talked about some headlines and emails and all those sorts of things. But what they do is interesting about email marketing. They do 2 things really, really well. One, they onboard customers. So If you remember a few episodes ago, we talked about things that your CRM should do. And we talked about how after you've gotten someone to agree to use you, you should have some sort of automation in place to sort of facilitate that. So particularly if you're a software as a service, you're a SaaS company, or if really any company should do this, is that as soon as someone's agreed to use you, you should have some sort of onboarding email. Now, for some people, the service industry in particular, like if you're talking to them on a daily basis, especially real estate, once they agree to use you, you're kind of talking a lot. So maybe it doesn't make sense to send them, 12 emails in 12 days about how to use your service. But it does make sense to send them an email that says, hey, great, here's your recap of everything we covered. Here's the timeline of the home buying process, home selling process, of the insurance process, of whatever process it is. Send them sort of a nice sort of welcome email. Hey, here's the team. Here's my admin. Here's the number that you should call whenever there's a problem or when you have a question. Anything like that you could do in a sort of a recap email as an onboarding sort of thing. And so Netflix is really good about that. When a new person signs up, they start giving them sort of, hey, check out this, check out that. Did you know you could do this? Did you know you could do that? And it sort of walks them through the process of it. Now, most people have Netflix at this point, so they probably will never experience that onboarding process. So one of the other things they do really well is stay in touch. No one from Netflix is emailing me, and every email that I would receive from them is probably going to be considered sort of spammy anyway. So what are they doing that's sort of winning email? So what they did, because this is a big company and it's like, going to seem like when I get an email from Walmart, I'm like, how did I end up on this list? Did I ever give Walmart my email? Because I don't want their emails. I don't want Target's emails. I don't want anybody's emails that are these big corporations, because they tend to not to send me anything of value. Why do I open Netflix email? Well, it's somewhat personalized. It's been segmented. So not only are they going to tell me about a new show that I want to watch, and frankly, I could probably read the headline and figure out what that was. So not only are they telling me about a brand new show that I want to watch, they're also doing it in a format that's somewhat interesting. So they'll send me like a GIF or a GIF of the sort of the clip of the show that I want to watch. And a lot of times that little clip, a few seconds of that show, makes me want to go and watch it either now or watch the trailer for it. And so you could certainly do that. There's definitely some tools out there where you could send gifts to the people that are on your list that are personalized. So definitely, as you do your email, one of the things you want to do is there's really two parts of this. One, you want to think about your onboarding email campaign. So when someone joins, someone does something with your company, is there some email that you could automate and send out but still adds a ton of value? And then the second thing you want to do is, as you stay in touch with your customers. We talked about this in internet lead generation. We talked about this several episodes where we're talking about nurturing the lead, nurturing your customers, nurturing that past client to come back and do business with you. How can you stay in touch with them in a way that's personalized to them, and at the same time, so it's personalized, but yet you can sort of scale it. One thing you could do, if you're a real estate agent, you can send out market updates that are specific to the places where people live. So for instance, there's a company called Altos. I think it's like $100 for a county. So it's $100 a month for a county, I think, and I may be getting this wrong, so you may want to look at it later. But so for $100, if you had all of your business in one county, now obviously if you're working multiple counties, it'd be more expensive. But if you had all your business in one county, you could actually send each zip code or each city to each person that's bought a house from you in that zip code. Is that information that I would want? Yeah, absolutely. If I'm a homeowner, it doesn't matter if I bought my house a month ago or 10 years ago. I want to know about the value of my home. I want to know what's going on in the market. And so it's great. That's a great tool. The same thing goes for, rates. It could, if you're doing mortgages, here's the rate. Now with that one, we get so many emails about that kind of stuff that maybe it's once a month, maybe it's once every 6 weeks. You could do checkups that says, hey, here's your rate checkup for the month, for this quarter, things like that. But something that's personalized to a group of people that's in your database, is going to be much more effective than these mass emails. Like no one reads the, happy St. Patrick's Day, happy, Merry Christmas, that kind of stuff. Unless I know you, I'm not even opening it. And even the people that I do know, like I've got friends in the business that send that stuff out. If I know that it's been a mass email, then I'm deleting it. So the only way to get someone to open that would be send them something unique. Send them a special, some sort of semi-personalized Christmas update. You might do it by region. Let's say you have a national company and you were sending out Christmas emails, and you knew that in the South, you better say Merry Christmas and that there probably isn't any snow. You might send them an email saying, Merry, I know that you won't have a white Christmas, so here's a picture of one. You could have something kind of funny like that would work really well. Whereas in the Northeast, you might send them a picture of, of an island or something, and say, no matter what holiday you're celebrating this season, I know that you're going to wish that you were on this island. Something that sort of speaks to the region, as well as is something interesting to open. Memes are real popular today. That's something else that you could send out to get someone to open it. Something somewhat funny, but then also personalized. So Netflix teaches us 4 things that we probably already knew, but it was really interesting just to kind of dissect some of the things that they're doing and that I thought were interesting. Particularly personalizing content. You've got that throughout all 4 of these things that they're doing. But don't let that get lost that they are going on this multiple channels, so multiple social networks, multiple ways that they're marketing it. They also have a very simple message. So they're not just marketing on these different channels, but their message is pretty simple, as well as the interface with their company is really simple. And then finally, they're not just letting these channels do all the talking. They're utilizing another channel called email to do a lot of the heavy lifting for them and customers keep coming back and reminding them about their account. So that's great. So I learned a lot just from dissecting this, some things that I learned from Netflix. What did you learn? Is there something that you learned? If you did, go to the podcast show notes page. All of the show notes are blog posts, so you can make comments on them if you want. If there's something that you learned about Netflix that you like, I'd love to hear back from you. You can either email me at joshua@fordmarketing.com, or you can go on there and make a comment. If you like our podcast at all, if you like Ford Marketing Podcast at all, and you want to keep me doing it, then simply share it with a friend. I would love a review on iTunes. That's kind of like one of the ultimate things, and I would love it. But ultimately, the more people that listen, the more likely I am to continue doing this. And I love trying to help business owners. I love the few emails I do get a week from people who are listening. I love getting those and trying to help those people who are trying to launch their business, trying to grow their business, or trying to take their business to the next level. And again, your business isn't just there for you to make profit. That's great. Businesses are a tool to make profit, but your mission really is to impact the community that you've got the business in. And to me, that's the whole reason why I do this, and it should be one of the reasons you do what you do. So next week, I've got a wonderful episode with Dr. Rob McClellan. We are going to record a leadership episode, and you're not going to miss this. Out of all of the marketing techniques that I could teach you, out of all the things I could show you how to do online, there's only one thing, there's one skill set that is going to make the difference between whether your company can go to the next level or not. It's not going to be leads. It's not going to be a new tool. It's going to be the leadership inside of your company. It starts with you. So simplicity was one of the things we talked about today, understanding your message. That's basically self-leadership. Do you understand why you do what you do? If you don't, then people can't follow you. Now, if you are really good at communicating why you do what you do, then people will just sort of flock to you. You no longer have to look for people to join your team. People will naturally want to join your team. Completely different mindset. The leadership things that I've learned, most of which, maybe not most, but a lot of it, a lot of it can be credited to my relationship with Dr. Rob, and so you're not gonna want to miss that. He has a great podcast. It's a short, sort of a short 10 minutes or less podcast called Leader Tribe. And if you have any sort of, like, even a small, like 1% of you says, yeah, I kind of want to listen to some leadership stuff, then you should go check out leadertribe.com, listen to his podcast, and sign up for the updates. He and I have a very similar approach to the podcast. All we want to do is add value to your life, add value to your business, and that's really what he does. And so sign up for his podcast. I know that you'll love it if you love anything about leadership, and I guarantee you that next week's episode is going to be full of fun because I'm a little stuffy. I don't mind admitting it. I'm a nerd. I love looking at technology things and figuring those things out. I love solving problems. Dr. Rob is like kind of imagine a party animal person with that kind of personality, like the life of the party, ending up in somewhat of a scholarly role as a leadership expert. And that's what you've got. So tune in next week for that. And I would love to hear your comments, critiques, anything. You can email me at joshua@fordmarketing.com, or you can go on to our website and make comments there. So thanks so much for listening, and make it a great day.